And welcome back to the first of a new Dragon Ball Z What If. For the record, while the majority of my What Ifs are Dragon Ball and Naruto based, that's not the only ones I do, especially during the week of. But in terms of the long term ones, they're usually the predominant ones just because it's the majority that people give me in terms of suggestions. And this one comes to us from Yield Telling Gamer, OG Logic, Collis Williams, and Sun Wukong, who asked the question, what if Dragon Ball Super versions of Broly went to Earth instead of the Dragon Ball Z version? Now, I've done this this what if before, but it was with the Dragon Ball Z version. So using the Dragon Ball Super version, does this change the overall tale of Broly? Well, keep in mind, this is not what if Dragon Ball Super Broly went to Earth instead of Goku. This is just what if he went to Earth. We have to factor in all the factors, including Paragus himself. Was it intended for him to go to Earth, or was he supposed to go to Vampa and something changed? All that. So let's first start with the basics. Obviously, he's sent off planet. Now, while Goku was sent to Earth specifically by Bardock, it wasn't made apparent for Broly to be sent to Earth. And the question is, why wasn't it made apparent? Well, I don't think they actually sent him to Vampa specifically. At least I don't believe it was said they sent it specifically to Vampa. Maybe it was. I think they were just sending him to like a random planet, so he wouldn't threaten the Saiyan race. So what if the random planet turned out to be Earth instead? Does he land in the woods? Where does he land? And what's going on there? Well, if let's just assume for a second he just lands somewhere in the woods and the mountains. First off, he's going to have a lot more to eat than the bugs. There's plenty of birds, deer, fauna, all that for him to eat. And Paragus just goes out of his way to look for his son. Now, luckily, him going to Earth is a much better bet than him going to Vampa in terms of survival. Because if you recall, they struggled to when they got to Vampa because the ship crashed and it was completely destroyed. And they were marooned on that planet. He had to kill the other passenger there to make sure him and Broly would have enough food to survive for a while. Here I can't remember that guy's name either. Yeah, I can't remember that guy's name. But it'd be Paragus and that guy going to Earth. Alongside, honestly, got Kakarot. In fact, I know they went a little before Kakarot left. Kakarot probably wouldn't show up on Earth until a little while later. But we run into a very serious problem. Because here's the thing. Broly in the Dragon Ball Z movie, we know, is born with a power level 10,000. That's a canon. That's movie canon for that power level. But in Dragon Ball Super, it's never actually stated what his birth power level was. We know his power level was I think in the low to mid 900s when he was scanned by that guy. And it was just because he was weak and tired. He was only, trying to eat. But we know his power level is probably higher than that. Is it 10,000, like maybe when he's enraged? Possibly. But we just don't know his power. What we do know, though, is that he's this potential scared King Vegeta. So to say that it could be 10,000, I suppose we could go with that number, especially if he is eating well. But the problem is we know for a fact that he was on that planet long enough that he was able to transform into his Great Ape form and go crazy and survive. We have to make the assumption also, because Earth, I believe, is farther away, that he's also had time to do that. And when that happens, you're dealing with a Broly that, if we are going to be just kind and give him the 10,000 power level, is running around with a 100,000 power level Great Ape form, running amok and going nuts. And this would probably not go unnoticed. This would cause Earth's armies to go absolutely nuts. Well, not nuts, but be like, holy shit, what's going on here? A giant Kong, green because of Broly and all that, is going nuts on the planet. So he's just starting to raise the planet and all that. It would cause fighter jets to basically shoot into him, which would the gun missiles, bullets, which would probably hurt him. I don't think he'd be immune theoretically to it, especially as a kid. But at the same time, he'd still be able to more than capable of surviving him. It just would hurt, and he'd just be wiping out armies and causing complete and utter chaos. Then when it's all said and done, eventually I think one of them, maybe he gets nuked, because yes, they have nukes. I'd imagine they do, and he survives it because let's be honest, 100,000 power level anyone could probably survive a nuke to the face. Granted, I mean, maybe not a nuke to the face because of the just design, how an atomic bomb works on a temperature scale. Because let's be honest, even now, Vegeta and Goku could not survive a dip in the sun unless they were in Super Saiyan Blue and had an aura wrapped around them. And even then, that's arguable, just because of their physiology. But carpet bombing, like severe bombing, eventually, I think Broly's tail gets blown off. And when it's all said and done, they're like, "Oh, their ape was destroyed." No realizing that little kid Broly is now sitting in a crater somewhere. um, he eventually wakes up, walks off, and goes and runs into like a nearby forest, what's left of it, avoiding capture and all that because he's a Saiyan. He's just trying to survive. Eventually, Paragus and said other Saiyan do make it to Earth. They crash. Now, at this point, I'd say Kakarot is there. He also goes Great Ape, but his Great Ape is far less destructive, obviously, because he's far weaker at that point in time. Kills, obviously, Grandpa Gohan. So he's just living in the woods. Meanwhile, Paragus and, again, I can't insert character's name here, they do eventually find Broly. And because of the whole issue with, the fight with the military, Broly actually would be stronger thanks to the Zenkai of the Saiyan. So ultimately they find him, and they're trying to make it's like, okay, what are we going to do on this planet? How are we going to survive? Now, fortunately, they realized, or they know from like their brief incoming scan of the planet, that the Earth isn't just habitable. It's actually vastly populated by an entire race of race civilization. So, they go and they do some scouting, and they realize that they look very much like the people of this planet. So it's not unreasonable for them to try and just blend in. Broly, they see Broly's tail's gone, so they're just trying to, make do. Now, I think Paragus would keep Broly basically in the wild for a while, just keeping an eye on him, preparing to for the day where he'll take his revenge on Vegeta, and all that. But and he sends the other guy out, to scout all that, to see if they have any, see if he can get currency to buy food. Fortunately, they can they can fish and all that. I think actually they would find it relatively nice on Earth to be living in, though still he'd be training Broly up as best he can. Broly would probably make friends with like a deer or something like that, deer or a or like a bear or something like that, or a dinosaur. Paragus doesn't like that, and ultimately, keeps him from really making that much friends. Although the animal friends he still tries, because he's still, I think, a very general, peaceful person. The only difference is now he's got the other guy there to help, curb his attitude towards his son. Paragus' strength is not quite known at full. We know that his strength was, I think it was like 4,900, something like that, 4,700 when they scanned him in Broly, but he was an old man at that point. So, I mean, he was an older Saiyan anyway. Any rate, at that point, so he was weaker. And his prime, he was probably closer to like 6 or 7, I'm guessing. So he was definitely in a more upper class Saiyan, certainly. Probably could have even given Nappa a good run for his fight. Might not have been stronger than Nappa. We know he was not stronger than King Vegeta, or Vegeta Jr. Vegeta the fourth, as it turns out, as we learn in the manga. Vegeta is actually the fourth in his line. And probably if Bardock's power level of 9,500 is still canon, which probably it's not, then he's probably weaker than Bardock also. But he was probably somewhere in the 6 to 7 range in his prime. He spends a lot of time training Broly. Now, during this time in Dragon Ball, and again, the guy helps curb him from being like a terrible person, or a terrible that too terrible of a father. But during the Dragon Ball era of Dragon Ball Z, do they participate in anything that's going on? Well, because they're living on their own in the woods, they might be close to Goku, but I'm guessing they're not. Like Goku's not aware of them at all. So I actually think like a lot of what's going on, like the whole Pilaf arc and the martial arts tournament, probably they don't participate until they learn that, oh, we can get currency here, maybe, and we can participate, and maybe we can use Broly as a good test subject, which Paragus is like we're trying to lay low here, so that's probably not going to work. Um, although because his power level, he's the guy said wasn't even as high as Broly's at the time. So his power level was probably only like between like 5 or 6, maybe 8. But that still makes him far more powerful than anyone on the planet. So they ask him to participate. It's like you're probably going to outclass most of the fighters on this planet. At least that if the scouter is anything to go by. So go in there and win us some money. So it's like, all right, fine. So he participates. Broly and Paragus are basically, waiting in the wings, just watching. Paragus is keeping Broly in check. Plus, Broly is a relatively timid and gentle guy. But as they're watching the matches and seeing, despite the fact that their powers are really not that impressive, there are some skilled fighters. They're just not that high, anywhere near their level. And he is. Let's assume he takes what's the okay. Okay, there was Ranfan. Who was the guy that Ranfan fought and then fought Goku? I can't remember his name. Nomu? I mean, Nomus are from My Hero Academia, but let's see. Dragon Ball Martial Arts Tournament. I can't remember which Budokai that was. That's why Dragon Ball Martial Arts Tournament. Martial Arts Tournament. Okay, which one was it? I think, okay, so 21st. That was it. It was the 21st. So let me see here. It was Nam. That was his name, Nam. To be specific, the contestants in the actual fights were Krillin, Bacterian, Jackie Chun, Yamcha, Ranfan, Nam, Goku, and Giran. Or Jiran, depending on the pronunciation. But Nam. So let's say I actually think it'd be kind of interesting that he would be the one to actually take on Nam, or take over for Nam's spot, because power-wise, as I said, this guy's technically stronger than any of them. Maybe not as strong as full power Roshi, but still strong enough that he might, like, he might clash Roshi and give a good fight, certainly, if Roshi and clash the Kamehameha with this guy. But the thing is, Ranfan basically was fighting dirty by just stripping to her underwear to making, it being a very big flirt distraction to people, especially those who might be, impure, all that. I have no doubt that even though this guy could overpower her no problem, the minute she takes off her top, he's like, and she basically just kicks him, like, ah! To which Paragus and Broly both go, oh god. Even Broly goes though he doesn't quite understand it, because in this case he's like Goku. He hasn't had much experience with women before, but even he's like, that father, that was embarrassing, correct? Yes, son, that was very embarrassing. And but even he has to like take a quick look at Iraq, just like, oh my god, it's been a while. I can totally see him doing that. So ultimately, it goes down to it comes to the next match, to which when they see Goku, they immediately realize, like, wait, he's another Saiyan. And they see him, and they fight the dragon, and he beats him, or the dinosaur guy, and he beats him. And then he fights Ranfan, and unlike Nam, he has no qualms fighting a girl, because he, like Broly, he's completely naive to that crap at this time in his life. So they're seeing it, and finally it gets to the fight with Roshi and Kakarot, at least as they're knowing him as Kakarot. Oh, actually, they wouldn't know him as Kakarot; they know him as Goku, because they don't know Kakarot at all. But they're watching him because, like, it's another Saiyan, so it's like, we really should keep an eye on this guy. And they see the fight, and like even though they're able to follow the fight perfectly fine, because Roshi's power at this point, despite the fact he's still the best martial artist and probably the most skilled fighter of anyone here, still can't compete with him again, unless we're talking about Roshi in full buff mode. They they're able to follow everything, but they're like even Paragus can acknowledge like they're skilled fighters. Like they are truly skilled fighters. Keep in mind, most if not all Saiyans are not martial artists. They're fighters, they're warriors, but they're more brawlers than anything else. They might have technique. Vegeta had technique, but he wasn't a true martial artist per se. So the fight keeps going and eventually gets to the point where Goku does turn into the Great Ape form. And they're like, oh crap. Now keep in mind, Goku's power, if I'm not mistaken, here was about 100 base for his general power, which means he went to 1,000. And Paragus and Broly are just like, ugh. And I mean, they're strong enough even in their base form to be able to take on Goku here, but it's like, this isn't good. We're gonna have to do something. But then they see Roshi is like, wait, what is that old man doing? His powers up, and he can suddenly, not sense, because even after all those years, they couldn't sense energy. But because he picks up his scouter real quick, because I imagine he carries the one remaining scouter with him, and he can see Roshi's power level jump. Now, what Roshi's power level in his full power is, we don't actually know. We know his base power is around 138. But we don't know what Roshi, when he's using his full power, his actual power level is like. We know in the Tournament of Power, he was actually able to trade blows. He wasn't stronger than Frost overall, but he was able to trade blows with Frost, which would imply that his power level is somewhere in the millions at that point. It's more than likely, it's theorized that his power level is probably somewhere in the low thousands. Just because even though trying to remember, even though Piccolo could destroy the moon at in the low hundreds, although we don't know how much of training he had been doing during the Saiyan saga at that point. Roshi destroying the moon is destroying a planet is a feat that would take at least 1,000 power level, I would imagine, or a planetoid at any rate. But maybe I'm wrong. His power level is definitely above his 138 though, and the Paragus says so. The old man was holding back, and he finally goes, Kamehameha, just blows at the moon. And if I'm not mistaken, did he take out Goku's tail, or did he just remove Goku's tail? Because again, Goku ultimately gets his tail back in the end too. He grows it back. But ultimately, Goku gets up. Fight continues until eventually Roshi's the winner. And Paragus has to commend him on a good fight. That was a good fight. Cut to the aftermath where he's treating them all to food. And he's like, it's gonna cost you this, but that's my prize money. And it's like, great. So Goku's now just going off on his own and going to get the 4-star ball back. But along the way, as he's trying to look for the 4-star ball, he's stopped. It's like, excuse me. It's like, Goku, isn't it? It's like, and Goku could see these two individuals. One has a tail, one doesn't. Because I'm sure he removed Broly's tail in this, just like he did in the canon, to save everyone from the possible problems that could cause. He's like Goku, yeah. My name's Paragus. This is Broly, my son. I'd like to talk with you if it's possible. Now, keep in mind, too, age-wise, Broly's, I think, roughly in the same age group as Goku. Roughly speaking. In fact, I think he's a little older than Goku. Not by much, but he's a couple days to a couple weeks older. But in terms of, physicality, they're roughly the same in terms of size, because Saiyans that's weird. Would you notice that even Vegeta was kind of scrawny, like a shrimp too, although he didn't get that much taller overall. But Goku, Vegeta, Raditz, we saw Kid Raditz and what he looked like. They all start out really chibi for their informative years, teenage years and all that, and then they kind of just hit these huge growth spurts. But Broly, it's like, we'd like to talk. It's like, we need to talk. We need to talk. And Goku's just looking this over, being like, yeah, okay, what's going on? And that's where we're going to leave part 1 for What If Dragon Ball Super Broly Went to Earth. So, I mean, there could have been a scenario where Broly just completely decimated the planet, quite frankly. But before Paragus even got there. But no, I didn't. I didn't want to go that route because I did want this to be at least a semi-ongoing what if. Until then, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Hit that bell phone to be notified. I'll see you next time. Tomorrow, I got the Pokemon team video. I'm going to start doing the box office report videos again. And I have another video I'm going to do because I'm now done with the Death Battle tournaments and all that. So I am, I've got an open spot in my Sunday schedule. So I will be doing a different video tomorrow. I'll be doing a couple videos before I think get into the power level videos that I kind of got asked to do a little bit, and that I'm also been thinking about doing the power level videos for a while, ever since I've learned to use the OBS properly and get images in the background. So yeah, I'm definitely looking into doing that. Until then, though, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. We'll do a review at some point. I just who would win Star Wars Super Magic, what if, Pokemon team videos, the works. Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next.